Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a great show lined up. Another special guest here in the studio. I'm really glad about yesterday's show. Got a lot of good feedback on it. I know a lot of y'all folks enjoyed seeing Billy Lessig, a young man that just, got paralyzed in 1988, and it just hasn't slowed him down. A great, strong man of faith, and I loved having him on. So if you didn't get to see the yesterday's show, find it on YouTube and look it up. Today we got another big show coming up. But first, let's do our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. High today 73, low tonight 62. So it's still. We're getting ready for this cold Christmas we're going to be having. It's just one of those things. I know a lot of people want a really, really cold Christmas, and that would be nice too. But I'm just glad we're having Christmas. I'll tell you. Okay, water temperature is 68 degrees, and it's staying level now. We're down to 66, but bumped back up to 68. And like I said the other day on the show, I think for the first time ever, I may go pompano fishing during Christmas break and just see if it stays this warm. Let's take a look at our river readings brought to us by Watson Landing Marina and Dry Storage right here about 2 minutes east of Harrison Avenue on Business Highway 98. Good folks down there. The Apalachicola Bluntstown 11.3 and rising. We're going to have some rising water for the next couple of days. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville 11 foot also, and it's rising. So we're going to see some really good high water if you like to go back and fish in those sloughs, and there's going to be some good time to do it. I know some of y'all will do that during the Christmas holidays, and you're going to have some good water to push you back up in there. Take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Back in those good tides, low tide at 6:05 this morning, coming in, and high tide at 7:58 tonight. We've got a 1.8 foot range. Take a look at our marine forecast. It started out with that wind blowing the other day out of the east. And what it does now, it comes out of the east and then the southeast and then south. Today, straight out of the south at about 10 to 15, so it's going to be blowing. If you're out on open water, be careful. All right, we'll take our break, come back with our special guest. Welcome back. Sitting here with a familiar face and always glad to see Travis Bassford of FWC.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Travis, are you healing up okay?
I'm getting there. Still doing some physical therapy, but it's strengthening up.
I don't want to squeeze it too hard, but it felt like you were doing okay.
Yeah, you did good.
Listen, are y'all ready for Christmas?
Yes, sir. Got all the shopping done, and we're ready.
Do y'all have to work something during Christmas?
We do. I'll be working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Oh, my goodness. That don't sound right.
Yeah, somebody's got to be out there, but we'll be off in the evening.
If we could get everybody not to hunt and fish during Christmas, it'd be okay with
it. Yeah, there you
go. Work it out. Listen, this story, you called, we were talking, and you sent me this picture, and this story, in my lifetime being in outdoors, I've never heard of this happening. And we got a picture of it. So, Travis, tell the folks this story.
Okay, this is going to be about a stolen buck. And most of the time when you hear about a stolen buck, it's somebody, and throughout my career, somebody shoots a deer on someone else's property and then takes the deer. Or the other way I've heard of a stolen buck is somebody leaves a head out to do a European mount and a dog drags it off. So that's another way you get a stolen buck. But this one was actually stolen. A hunter harvested the deer on December 20th in Calhoun County. He then drove to Tallahassee and was eating dinner at an Outback Steakhouse. And while he was in there eating, somebody removed the deer from the back of his pickup truck and snatched it and took off with it.
Have y'all ever heard of that?
It's crazy, isn't it?
He was at a restaurant and they drove up and took the man's deer.
They did. And it was a fine buck, too.
Well, y'all see, look at this picture here, and we're going to talk about it. That is a fine buck. That is a good one. So
it was.
Tell us how can our viewers help?
Well, we would love to have y'all's help on this. We want to catch the person that did this, and if you look at this rack, if you hear about this, whether it be on the internet or see it at a taxidermist shop or somebody bragging about it, please give us a call on our Wildlife Alert Hotline, 888-404-3922. And if you look at the picture here, that rack, it's a mainframe 8-point, and it's a pretty big deer for Northwest Florida.
It is a big deer.
If you look on that left brow tine, it has a little kicker coming off, or a little split, and that's kind of a distinguishing characteristic of that buck. And hunters know that every rack is different, unique in its own way. And if you see that, please give us a call or hear about anything that can help lead to the apprehension of this individual or individuals that that took this. Not only do we want to have them caught, but the hunter really would want his deer back too. You know, that's one thing. You know, when you kill a big deer like that, that's your trophy, and that's your,
sure it is.
You know, and for someone to take that was pretty disheartening.
I can't get over it. That's amazing.
It's weird. So again, now that the deer was harvested in Calhoun County, but it was taken in Leon County, off Deal Road in Tallahassee at the Outback Steakhouse. So we imagine it's somewhere in Leon County, but it could be anywhere. So.
Yeah. So I know a lot of y'all, we have kin folks and friends and all over Leon County, and so check with them. In fact, I'm going to see my nephews of Christmas and all. I'm going to get a word. I'm going to show them this picture here, and they've got a lot of contacts in Tallahassee. So
there you go.
We're going to jump on this. We'll get the man's deer back anyway.
Yep, hopefully we can, and I feel confident we will. We've got some people working on that, and that's another thing too I just wanted to talk about is the Wildlife Alert Program. It's a great program. We receive funds every year to help with that program, and what it is if you're out there, if you're hunting, if you're fishing, if you're camping, and you see a violation, whether it be trespassing or poaching fish or deer, turkey, whatever the case may be, you can call this number, and we'll send an officer out or have an officer call you to where we can come out there and make the case, because a lot of times we are spread thin. And you know, you are our eyes and ears out there, and most people are ethical hunter and fisher, and you know, when they see someone else doing something wrong, they know it's not right and they want them to be caught. So
sure.
This program, what it does, and I've had a lot of people, they don't want a reward, but this program actually rewards people that call in and help us make cases, and up to a $500 cash reward depending on the extent of the violation. And I worked with a lot of people down south when I was in Palm Beach County, and snook was big down there. We had a lot of people call in because you know, they didn't think it was fair how they had to follow seasons and size limits, slot limits, and then other people had disregard for that. So, and several times people getting $300 or $400 from making that call so we can go in there and make the case and take care of the people that are violating. So again, that number is 888-404-3922. And this time of year, we've got a lot of stuff going on. There is some fishing still going on, but on the hunting side of it, deer hunting, we're having a lot of night hunting, does being taken out of season, undersized bucks with new antler restrictions in our deer management unit. Trespassing, you know, that's another good one too. And then with migratory birds, any kind of baiting or shooting after hours. If you hear any of those kind of shots or whatever, or you know, and please give us a call, because we can't be everywhere, and even if we just get the information, that's something we can work in the future. If we don't catch them that day, we can go back later on and get them.
Yeah, and you know, Travis, it's so important. Like I said, we have so many outdoorsmen, and we all want everybody to obey the laws, because that's the way it's supposed to be and all. And a lot of times I talk to law enforcement people and good ones, if you see something, if you're driving by and you see something that don't look just right, you know, it's that simple. The great detective, that's where they started.
Exactly.
And I remember a while back, I told you, I drove by and saw something, and it was right before daybreak, and something didn't seem right, and we talked about it later, so I know. When you're out there, like I say, these guys, there's only one or two of them in the area, so we've got to call, and it's a betterment for our whole outdoor world.
It helps everybody, because when people are taking resources, whether it be in the closed season or too big or too small, it's robbing and taking resources away from the people that are trying to do it right. So.
Yeah, and it's cheating, and we spend the money on our corn and our property and the taxes and our gas and everything, and for some lowlife to come in there at night to get something like that, that's just not right. So we're gonna fight them, you know, every time we get a chance and do it right.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. So, Travis Bassford, FWC Law Enforcement Branch, and glad to always have Travis, and he's one of our own local boys. Has finally got a job back up here. You're glad to be up here, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Good to be back in God's country, Northwest Florida.
Okay, I've got to show you one more quick picture. Let's jump to fishing real quick. Check this one out. This is, young man, this is Mason Trawick of Santa Rosa Beach, caught over in Choctaw Bay, caught and released last week for the cool weather. That's a nice one, isn't it, Travis?
That's a beautiful, beautiful bull red. He's about the size of that redfish.
Mason, congratulations, son, and I hope you catch a lot more of those redfish over in Choctaw Bay. Appreciate y'all sending that picture in for our viewers. Okay, now, we got some more stuff.
We got a few more things. We went over this last time. We're right in the middle of deer season, general gun. We have 2 more antlerless deer days or doe days, and that's going to be in both management units. We're in Zone D, north of I-10 and south of I-10 this weekend. The Saturday and Sunday after Christmas, that's going to be the 26th and 27th, be our last 2 doe days of the year.
That's important now. Make sure you got that on your calendar to sneak up on you because everybody's so busy with Christmas and all, so we'll get those in.
And that's just a great time where most people are off of work and school. They can take advantage of those dates, and it's usually, the yearlings are older at that point to where if a doe is taken, they can survive, and a lot of the does aren't pregnant at that point. So it's just a real good time in there to have those dates. And then I've been doing some deer hunt myself, like I was telling you before, and the rut, I tell you, in northeast Jackson County, it seems to be on.
That's interesting.
I was in the stand Saturday morning. I saw 3 bucks chasing 1 doe, and it was, they were just all over.
Yeah.
And she was blowing, they were grunting, and they were a pretty good ways away, but it was just awesome to see that activity. And it was almost like 3 years of bucks. You had like a 6-point, an 8-point, and then a real big, 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were all staggered. Of course, the biggest one was right there behind that doe, and the other 2 were following. And then yesterday, I was up on some of our property and just driving along the edge of a field, and a doe jumped up, and me and my cousin were in the vehicle, and we're just watching the doe. She just bounded off about 50 yards in the woods, and we're just watching her. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a nice rack buck come right on her. I don't even think the buck saw us.
Oh,
he
man.
was just on the doe because she was bedded down. And when she jumped up, he jumped up. And then right after that, another giant. And then they took off. So they are really chasing. It's pretty early, for our area. Usually, at least at our property, usually it's a January thing. And I don't know if that cold weather got them going or what, but it
does seem to be early. I've gotten a couple of pictures already, and people are talking about the rut is on in different areas. And it usually starts in the eastern part of our viewing area and sort of works this way, but it's fascinating when you get to watch that.
Oh, man, it's awesome just to see that kind of deer activity.
And, talking about taking does and all, any kind of deer management biologist and all, you've got to take a certain amount of does from your property. If not, it'll be overrun. And this is a great time of year. Also, talking about these doe weekends, a lot of times, great opportunity to take a young person to take their first deer. It's a good time to do that.
Absolutely. That is a great idea there because it just gives them more opportunity. They don't have to wait on a buck and all that.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And then just like we were talking about before, we've talked about this off and on throughout the year, the drama that has surrounded the amberjack closure and size limit. They're finally going to do it. Greater amberjack and gray triggerfish are going to reopen. That's state and federal waters January 1st. And then the size limit is going to change on January 4th. And don't ask me why they separated 3 days to enact the size limit, but that's what they're going to do. And we're hoping that season, it should run until summer, which gray triggerfish and amberjack historically over the past several years before this last season's closure, they have a 2-month closure in summer, and they're open year-round the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So, again, that it's going to open on the 1st, and the size limit is going to change on the 4th. For the greater amberjack.
So you have about 3 days, you can catch them at an old size limit for about 3 days.
There you go. Yeah, if you want to go out there and brave it, of course, shoot, the way it's been, it might not be too cold January 1st.
It may be ideal that weekend, January 1st, 2nd, to go out there and fish for them. Really.
And that will be the last, for a while, it'll be the last time we're going to have that 30-inch fork length. It's going to bump up to 34 inches measured at the tip of the nose to the fork of the tail. And the reason for that increase in size limit is because it just puts a greater proportion of sexually mature females in the population.
They've researched this, and biologists have been talking about it for a couple of years now, and I think it really is a good move because if it gets overfished really quick, and by that now you got more breeding stock, basically.
Exactly, and I wanted to bring those percentages up again because when you look at it like this, it makes sense. And 30 inches, which was our old size limit, only 11% of the females were sexually mature. Which is a small percentage, and at 34, it goes all the way up to 85%.
That's huge.
So that's what they want to do. They want to have a sustainable fishery, and everyone knows, your amberjack holes, and sometimes you might just have to go a little bit farther to get those bigger fish. But anyways, that's going down, and it's going to be again January 1st is going to be the opening of the season. and then the size limit's going to change on the 4th. So.
Okay, so you can, ideally you can go deer hunting on January 1st and go amberjack hunting on January the 2nd. There'll be some folks doing that.
There will, especially if it stays warm like this and the wind doesn't get up. So.
Okay.
We still have some red tide in the area. I checked the report, and as of December 18th, it looks like Okaloosa and Walton was clear.
Okay.
And it's starting to clear up there. Escambia, Santa Rosa still had some medium to low concentrations, and then Bay County had some medium, and that was in 9 samples collected inshore. They still had medium, and I'll get into that in a minute on which bays were affected the most. And then over to Gulf County, we had some high concentrations. So it looks like that bloom's kind of shifted east, and it's not as high because Bay County really has gotten hurt bad with it, and it looks like it's going over to Gulf, and maybe it'll get on out here. We get a cold front to push that out.
Or you see when you're out on your boat and all, can you get a whiff of it every now and then, or can you?
We will. It'll get in your throat. Sometimes you won't even see the fish, and you'll just feel that I don't know, dry, and it'll make you cough. It'll kind of get in there, and then other areas you're just unaffected completely. But it's something that has really hung around, and I was doing some research on it. This can last for up to a year. This red tide, and there's several things that can affect it. It can be salinity, it can be wind direction, the way the water's moving, and sunlight, and a lot of things go into it. But right now, we've had all the factors to keep it here.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that current. Usually, we've got a good north wind for the majority of the time this time of year, and we haven't had that.
It's south, coming out south. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's been a perfect storm for the red tide.
it has.
Yeah. Okay, let's take our final break. We'll be right back with Travis. All right, welcome back to our final segment here. Glad you're watching. Appreciate everybody's viewership, and I want to make sure that you have a great Christmas. So don't forget to relax and enjoy some quality family time. Spend some time with our family, and also spend some time in the outdoors. Let's take a look at our game and fish time for today, brought to us by Mark Coward of Counts Real Estate. 10:04 to 12:04, right in the middle of the day. It'll be an excellent time to go tonight, 10:32 to 12:32. Well, you want to be careful about that, because you don't want to get out there and get lost at the night. No, you've got to pull some people out at night.
Oh yeah, we've had those search and rescue. That's part of it.
Okay, so now we've got some oysters. Let's talk about oysters a minute.
Yeah, it's the time of year for them, and right now Apalachicola has been on a very restricted harvest for a while. They're trying to bring that back, and because of that, a lot of pressure has been put on our St. Andrews Bay system, and because of two things. Obviously, they close. They'll close it after a rain because of the runoff, and oysters are filter feeders and all that. But the red tide has really restricted the areas that people can harvest in the St. Andrews Bay system. And over the past month, the only area that's been open, and it will close too sometimes, especially after big rain, is the eastern section of North Bay. And that's in between the Bailey Bridge and the Deer Point Dam. West Bay is still, several areas of West Bay are still testing positive for red tide. And when that happens, they're going to shut it down. So West Bay's been shut down, East Bay's been shut down, North Bay has some pretty oysters, but they don't have the numbers that the other parts of the bay have. So one thing I wanted to remind people, because this time of year, even recreational people like to go out, not only commercial harvesters, but recreational, you need to check and see if the area is open, because both commercial and recreational harvest, if it's closed to everybody. It's not just the commercial fleet. So you can go to www.freshfromflorida.com and click on the aquaculture link, and they'll give you the openings and closures, and it's posted daily for every area that we have, including North Bay, East and West, West Bay, and East Bay. So that's a good place for people to go, and we've reminded some people that, and it's just the time of year. Everyone likes to go out there and get them.
And the oysters are getting fat this time of year. It tastes really good. That's why we historically always eat them around this time of year. Quickly, the case of the month.
Case of the month. Okay, this one was a deer case, and I'm going to give the story. It's it's one of those ones that, like I talked about Wildlife Alert, we need help from people to make cases, and this one is what happened. Officer Keith Baber in Calhoun County. He was a Calhoun County officer. He got dispatched up to Jackson County. There was a couple coming back from a canoe trip around Lake Seminole. They saw a doe and a yearling on the side of the road, pulled over and from the road, shot one time, killed both deer with a 12 gauge on someone else's property. The only problem for them was the landowner was about 70 yards away and saw the whole thing.
Oh.
So while they were loading the deer up, landowner comes out, and anytime you have a landowner with a gun and a violator with a gun, that's not a good situation. So fortunately, he called us. Officer Baber got up there pretty quick. He was able to decipher truth, from the lies, and got a witness statement from the landowner and his son. Got later a confession after an interview with the violators, and they were cited. They were cited with taking doe deer in the closed season and also road hunting. And it was just one of those things where some younger people and just weren't thinking right. Yeah. And again, it was just a good example of calling us when you see a violation. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we have someone right there in the area. So he made a great case and did a real good job getting up there and getting all the statements, and end up seizing the gun and the deer. But that was a good case.
Yeah, what time of day was it?
I believe it was somewhere around mid-morning.
Mid-morning. See, a lot of times you think it's nighttime and all, but it'll happen.
It was in daytime.
Yeah, it'll happen all kind of different times and all.
It will.
I know you don't have statistics with you, but find out maybe next time you're on about the infractions that occur with the violators at their age limits, like the 20s to 30s, or 30s to 40s and all. I think you're going to see a heavy emphasis on those young people.
Oh yeah, and I just think and I was a teenager at one point too, and you just don't use good judgment a lot of times. Mm-hmm. You don't think about. Something's wrong, but you don't weigh the consequences all the way out, and I think that's what happened in this case. Well,
I'm glad it got caught. So. We're going to wrap it up, Travis. You ready for Christmas, you said?
I'm ready. Got the Christmas shopping done, and going to work Christmas Day, but I'll be off in the evening, spend some time with the family.
Well, good. And what do y'all do for Christmas?
Well, we go up to Jackson
Jackson
County, do some of that, and then we also have family down here in Panama.
All right. Well, you have a very Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Thank you for this year. You've had a great year on the show. We appreciate you coming on.
I've enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Folks, I always thank you all so much for watching Panhandle Outdoors now. You can do something good for your fellow man today. Have a great day. Enjoy the outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.